Want more podcast fandom in your ear holes? Of course you do. And so it's a good thing for you that we are back beginning all new coverage of some of your favorite shows. And you can still head over to patreon.com/podcastfandom to become a premium subscriber for access to our coverage of shows like Westworld, WandaVision, Loki, Attack on Titan, The Legend of Korra, and more. Also, if you are on Clubhouse, look up our club, Podcast Fandom, where we talk about shows like The Walking Dead and WandaVision. It's so much fun because you guys get to listen live as we discuss TV shows and then come up on stage to ask your questions and share your thoughts. It's a lot of fun. Oh, and we also host game nights there. So make sure you join and follow us. And now, get into this free shit. Welcome to Podcast Fandom, the official podcast for ProjectFandom.com. I'm your host, Nina.
I'm Donald.
And I'm Ellen.
And we are back, you guys, to discuss Mare of Easttown. We're going to be talking about episode 3, intern number 2. Apologies. Last week was like midterms, and then we went and got our vaccine, and so I had planned on putting the podcast up earlier than it actually went up. And because I give Patreon folks like a 2-day head start as part of their perks for paying, I wanted to make sure that it was up on Patreon. And so I believe it is just going up on, wait, is it? Yo, it's already up. It's already up on the free
It's
show.
up.
It's up.
Yeah. I saw it this morning.
Okay. And I still have to, one thing I was doing, because we don't publish anymore, one thing I had started doing was putting all of the premium podcasts in Dropbox, and then anybody who worked for the site just had access to it. But the Dropbox was really like a perk for the people who pay, and nobody uses it really. It's just so that they can always have access to the shows. So I hadn't been doing that, and it didn't occur to me until you asked, Ellen, and it's just been a whirlwind weekend of birthday, gaming, just one other thing. What else was going on this weekend? Oh, more podcasting, lesbian watching, yes.
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day is today. Oh, so it's just been a lot. So I'm just like slowly kind of like catching up. I'm doing way better than I have been though. I'm very proud of myself. The past couple of weeks I've been very, very focused and on it with getting stuff done. So still got a ways to go. So apologies that the last one was late, but we are once again talking about this show on a Sunday. We're going to, like I said, talking about episode 3. Super excited to watch episode 4 tonight. As we do, we just give our overall thoughts, and then we're just going to dive into the episode. And because Ellen is our special guest, I'm going to start with you. What are your overall thoughts on episode 3?
Happy Mother's Day and happy birthday. Just get that out of the way. Mother's Day for you and birthday for Donnie.
Thank you.
My overall thoughts were, I just really am into this show. I mean, if I really thought about it too much, I could find some things I didn't like about it, but I don't want to. I just want to like a show and really just get into it. And like I have found I've been able to do that with the show.
I agree.
I mean, in every episode, there's just a ton of stuff to delve into, and then like there's more suspects that are really viable suspects. And that changes where you feel like one person like is more of a suspect than another now.
And it's like, and we talked about this too. It's kind of like that formula, like that Harlan Coben guy that I was talking about, his shows. It's to the point where like some people, it's like you may not think that they're the ones who killed Aaron, but it's like they're hiding something. Like,
Right.
I like that. I like there's just so much going on in this town, and I'm like, I don't know, like everybody's a suspect for something. We just don't know what yet.
Yeah, and I don't want to take up too much time, but because I could
No, it's
just go on and on. But overall, my like sort of like real takeaway was like by the end of this, I was like, fuck Mare.
Oh
Because
my God,
the
yes.
first, couple of episodes, I'm like, all right, maybe she's the whipping girl of the town and she's not that bad, but everyone just takes her shit out on her. And then at the end of this one, I was like, oh no, no,
Yeah.
no, she's,
And this
yeah,
is what I meant.
she's trash.
This is what I meant, that when I was comparing it like to what I feel is like this archetype that I've seen a lot, and that's the part that I don't like. Like I said last week, I can totally get behind women who feel like, well, men got to do that in cinema for, decades. So why can't women just sometimes be the kind of like, the fuck up, the anti-hero? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying
Right.
that the
Yeah.
women have to be perfect. I'm not saying that. But it does feel like they have created this kind of, again, this archetype where she's like, she's terrible. And for like, why? Like, why is she?
Right.
And
Like,
and I guess it's supposed to be justified. I mean, I get it. Like, I felt for her. And we'll talk about the details. I felt
oh
for
yeah.
her. But
And
at the
that's
end, it was like,
right.
this is too much.
And that's the thing, like, as a viewer and like as a just getting into a show as a viewer, and then my rational self as like
Yeah.
thinking of if this was a real world person are definitely at odds a little bit.
Right.
Because at the very end, the chief, who I was surprised she didn't just say like, sorry, I disappointed you, you're my cousin. 'Cause
Right,
she's
right,
like,
right.
everyone's her cousin.
You find out that he's
But-
related. Yeah.
But the chief, even like he said, all these things happen and I'm doing you a favor because I think you're worth saving. So that sort of like tugged at me a little bit, but like it's really hard in 2021 to separate
Right.
like an actress I really like
Mhm.
versus a character that like does some horrible trash shit
Mhm.
and then get into the reasons why. Like sometimes you just like in real life you're like, I don't care why she did that. But
Right.
as a TV viewer, I'm like, okay, they've really laid the groundwork that she's had some shit happen to her. So it was actually, I liked that kind of struggle that I felt with it.
What about you, Donnie? What were your overall thoughts?
No, I really liked it. And to kind of touch on that, compared to what we podcast last week, now that even like we left the episode thinking, okay, Frank's definitely involved in stuff, and then you get into this episode, it's like, well, is he really involved? Now you got this Deacon that they didn't really touch on last episode. Now you got a new player in there. But the one thing I have noticed, especially with this episode, that they laid a lot, how it ends with Mare and stuff like that, is that what's coming across to me is that nobody likes to tell her things, and I feel like that we kind of, I think even Ellen mentioned it last time we talked, was we believe Kevin's the baby daddy, and I really truly think that is a possibility, and if it is, that Frank knows, and I believe that Siobhan knows too. And it's just that nobody likes to tell Mare anything because she either overreacts or
there's
just
something
however
there.
she reacts to that, because this isn't the only thing. Like everything in these past few episodes, anything that's people know shit except for Mare.
Yeah.
And it's like nobody wants to tell Mare shit because she how she takes it.
Yeah. What are you doing to my dog?
Yeah, like she's such the central character to the show. And sometimes when someone does shitty stuff, it's like, oh, now we have to like, she's the central character.
Yeah.
But I mean, like even just the title of the show, it sounds like you're saying Mare of Easttown. Like,
Yeah, it does.
You know what I mean? Like she's like, so even that, it's like she's kind of, everything sort of revolves around her. And definitely agree with that, Donnie. Like no one wants to tell her. It's like, why didn't you go to, she asked, like, why didn't you come to me? And it's like, Because no one fucking wants to go to you, Mayor. Like, what do
And
you?
I'm wondering, like, what the because I agree. I do think that like Ellen said last week that Kevin is most likely the father of Erin's baby, or at least that's where it feels like where they're going. And we'll talk about the details in a second. But I was trying to figure out like the math. I'm like, and this is going to sound terrible, but I mean, and I grew up in areas like this, you know, in a class system like this, you know, so I know from which I speak. But it doesn't even feel like this is a town where like teen pregnancy is really like shunned upon. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's gonna sound bad, but you get what I'm like. It was just okay. How can I say this? Okay, I grew up in Brooklyn with my mom, and sometimes going to like in the summers and weekends and holidays and stuff like that, staying with my dad in Queens in the suburban area. And it was definitely different for people, young people in certain areas. It's like a different deal. You know what I mean? But like where I grew up, teen mothers was just normal. If that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like girls having to leave school
Yeah.
because they were pregnant is a my mom had me when she was 15. I mean, so it feels like the way they're discussing this stuff, it's like it doesn't feel like to me it would have been that big of a deal that Kevin got this girl pregnant
Right.
unless I'm trying to figure out how old he was because the way he is in that flashback or the video where who's what's the baby Drew's mother's name? Not Drew.
Um,
Yeah, Drew,
y-
the grandson.
Carrie,
Okay, Carrie. Like
Carrie Bacon.
when she's like, get that's right, get that fucking camera out of my face, and your sister's so annoying. Like it felt very immature, but at the same time, the way she was talking, it was like you know the pesky child, you know, while the grown ups are trying to
Mhm.
hang out or whatever. So I'm wondering if it was like an age thing, like how much older was he than like Erin and Siobhan, who are kind of like around, who were the same age,
Right.
right? So I think maybe that, or if it was a just a you know, like a secret thing. You know, I'm trying to figure out like why it would have been kept a secret, even from Mare. Like, I get that it feels like people can't tell her stuff, but Donnie can't get away with not telling me that my son knocked up some girl. Like,
Right.
I'm like, what could have possibly gone down that in this scenario that you were like, you know, what did you hear that you were like, oh, can't tell Nina? Like, what? No, it's my kid too. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, what.
But she doesn't even like to talk about his death, and I have a feeling that his death has something to do with it too.
Something.
Like
Yeah.
he guilty conscience of hey, I got this because he's already got a girl with a child, and
Yeah,
now all of a
yeah.
sudden, yeah, it's I cheated on her one time or whatever, and this happened, and
I have a theory about the killer, but let's wait. Um,
Yeah.
a new
And what
theory.
you were saying too, though, Nina, like about it doesn't seem like it would be as big of a deal in this town with the young, because
Yeah, I
young
just kind of feel like
pregnancy. I
this is
mean,
a thing
Mare's
that
like a
happens.
grandmother at
Right.
40 something years old. So,
Exactly, exactly. And then like there was one part when they were talking about um after they got, which we're going to talk about in a second, but like when they were discussing like what could have happened that night, Mayor and Evan Peters, and
mm-hmm.
she was like, why do that when you have the backseat of a warm car
Right,
knowing
because it
where
was 27
yeah,
degrees out, and they're
yeah,
like,
and
why
so like
why
I'm like,
oh,
yeah,
right, yeah.
even the way they talk about teen sex and kids, like she's already a mom. Like it just kind of felt like this is not the town where people are like. There's probably a lot of teen moms in this town. Is all I'm saying. And again, I say this because this is
Yeah.
very much like how I grew up. You know. Um. All right. So the episode begins with details, more details after what I'm assuming is the autopsy, um,
right.
that she died somewhere between midnight and 2 a.m. No rape, no signs of rape anyway, or sexual assault. And then they were like, she's missing a finger. I was like, wait, what? Did we know that last week?
Nope.
I don't
They didn't
remember
tell you.
that.
They didn't tell us anything about the autopsy last week.
I was like, did we? But I mean, you don't have to have an autopsy to have a cop on the scene looking at the body and being like, hey, what happened to her? Like, it just feels like something that would have been mentioned. And it's definitely something Mayor noticed because it's her who brings it up here, where she's like, what about the missing finger? And I was like, what? Like, the missing what? But as it turns out, it was a bullet wound, and it looks like they think that she probably put her hand up
Yeah, that's what
to
she
block
said,
the
to
shot,
block the bullet.
and the bullet took off the tip of her finger, one of her fingers, as well as it looks like either hitting her in the head and embedding there, or ricocheting off. And they do find one of the bullets later in the episode, but we'll get there. Casings anyway. So no rape, which really, really bolsters my theory. But we'll get there. So yeah, I want to mention to this actress doing this part right here. This was terrible. I'm sorry. This
Wait,
lot,
which part?
the doctor at the medical examiner.
Yeah.
It was so bad. You know what it felt like? It felt like that woman is really a medical examiner. And it was just a real person.
Right, like she lives in that town where they filmed it. And they're like,
yeah, and they were like, "You want it?" She won it in the supermarket. She won it at Wawa.
Supermarket.
She put her card in a fishbowl at Wawa, and they pulled the card.
Somebody murdered your dirter, and
but yeah, it just felt like she wasn't an actress, so the lines were delivered. It felt kind of unnatural. It was just weird. It's not a huge criticism. It's just something I noticed. And then while this is going on, Kenny's friends, and so that includes the two guys that were with him, with Mare when she told him about Erin's death. They are looking for him. And they're
his cousins.
His cousins. They're looking for him because somebody saw his truck parked on the side of the road. And I'm like, never mind. It makes sense now.
Was missing.
Yeah, but no, it makes sense now. I was about to be real critical of this, but where they find him, that's not near where he shot. What's his name, right? It can't.
It couldn't have been that. I don't think it was that far.
I don't know if it's that far, but I'm just saying, like, when he said get on the turnpike, and then you saw where he told him to get off, and like it was like so remote. I'm like, if I'm gonna go murder somebody, I'm not parking my car on the side of a road where people who know my car would be like, hey, that's Nina's car. Like, they've already established this town is small and everybody knows everybody. And so my thinking was that, like, he shot him at the end of the episode and then, like, wandered off and got drunk and passed out. And somebody came by and saw his car and called his cousins and was like, hey, why is Kenny's car off of route, whatever the fuck it was? And I'm like, why would you murder somebody that close to, like, why would,
well,
my
yeah,
point,
that was confusing.
Yeah, so I'm thinking he must
later,
have gotten back in the car and went to that location.
Well, when at the end of the episode, he made I think, didn't he make Dylan drive? He was like, drive.
Yeah, he said get on.
How far they went.
And he said get on the turnpike. And they were on the turnpike for a while. He told him get on the turnpike, and then when they got off, it was like clearly deserted. And then when this episode starts, he's like, they're looking for him because his car was spotted there where they are. And I'm like, God, he could not have parked his car. Like, you know what I mean? If
you got him, and they found this kid shot and saved his life, and like nobody did investigation of the whole scene.
So it had to be a different location. Yeah,
right. He
had to. God, I hope he's not that stupid.
It's like Pine Barrens, the Sopranos episode, and they find him eating ketchup packets.
Oh, right. That's right. I don't remember a lot from The Sopranos, but I remember that. So it's the ketchup packets. But yeah, they find him, and he's like, I did it. I killed it, son of a bitch. I'm like, oh, man. He's not that bright, because, like, how you gonna, like, not make sure the motherfucker's dead? I'm just saying, like I said, when he started running, I was like, oh, now you gotta kill him. But if you're gonna do it, you gotta commit and do it. Like you gotta go
Right.
put one in the back of the head, and make sure he's down. Oh, so now he's going to prison, right?
Yep.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it turns out he didn't. They tell him later that he didn't kill him. She
So
took
he's not
that
going to
full
prison for
fucking
life.
confession too. She took that whole ass confession just to be like, you didn't kill him, Kenny. He's like, oh damn. He's like, I am such a failure. He looks so just through with it all. Like, so you know what I mean? Like, because now you got to go to prison. He's not even dead. Even
Right,
if you
you're not
really,
going to go to prison for life now. You're just going to go for 10 years or whatever and still have to come out and
no, you might go for
deal
longer
with
than 10
society
years.
or whatever.
Right. But I mean, like, now you've really lost like everything, including your freedom, and that's what I mean. If you were gonna do it, you might as well at least make sure he was dead. But whatever.
Right.
I don't like that kid. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna have nice things to say about Dylan. I really
Yeah, he's
don't.
gross.
So also, I have here in my notes, Evan Peters ain't that bright because when they're talking about, and this is before they go talk to Kenny, they're still talking outside, getting the medical examiner information, and like I was surprised how much in this episode it's her talking him through shit. Cause isn't he supposed to be there to help her?
Yes.
Wasn't he brought in because there was no movement on what's her name's case? Wasn't that the original
Katie.
reason? Yeah, somebody was supposed to be coming in and she didn't like it. And then
Right.
after they found Aaron's body is when the boss told her right there at the crime scene, remember, so-and-so's coming down. He solved that missing girls case a year ago. So I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense why they would bring someone like that in. But then he gets here and he's saying stupid shit. She's like, no, she couldn't have ridden her bike that far. I'm like, why is he here then?
I think
That part of Pennsylvania is different.
And it lends to the whole like Mare, everything revolves around Mare.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
she's schooling him, not the other way around type of thing.
I don't know. Is this supposed to be an indictment on how women have to be twice as good and don't get nearly as much like credit or whatever? Because I guess, but it's just really frustrating watching him be Evan Pete. You know, like he's being like that kind of dippy kind of role that he sometimes plays, and I was like, what are you doing here if she has to explain shit to you? But they do determine that she had to have been killed elsewhere. And
Yes.
and then brought back to
Because she
the
couldn't.
woods.
She couldn't ride the bike that far.
Yeah, it's ends up being like 13 miles away. So yeah, Dylan's alive and apparently really lucky. You know, it looks like he's even gonna walk, right? Like I don't even think, right? Or do they still not know? I think he's fine, right? He's not paralyzed, right?
They said they didn't know, but then they showed the doctor like press against my hands, and he
Yeah,
could,
yeah.
So it looks like promising.
Yeah, and then he also like towards the end isn't when he puts the baby on his lap. And I thought that's where they were gonna go when he was like, I want to see him, and he sits the baby on him, and I thought he was gonna be like, I can't feel him, like he couldn't feel him on his legs or something, but no, he's just staring at him. What is he staring at? Trying to see if he sees some of himself in him. What are you doing? It looked ominous. I just didn't like the way he was looking at that baby.
Mm-hmm.
What else? What else? Oh, so Siobhan is making a video about her brother, and we get more information about Kevin from this. And it was the video that I had talked about earlier where she was clearly filming him and his girlfriend, and he was like playing a guitar or something. And she pauses the video on his face when he's smiling, and then she does the voiceover. And we learned that he had always been different, that he had tics. And one day in a movie theater, it started really bad. He was like making snorting noises, and kids teased him and said, you know, mean things to him, and Mare and them left the movie.
Yep.
And I was just surprised, like when she was done she's like, that's the first time I knew my brother was different. And then she stopped, and then she's in class, and I'm like, did everybody hear that? Like, what?
Yeah, they had to because they were unless they all because they were all just like a normal classroom, and there was somebody on the left, right side or right side of her.
I was like, this is really personal. I would probably record this part at home, but okay. So there's that. Oh, I have here in my notes. Nana needs to mind her damn business. Apparently, Jean Smart took it upon herself to tell Drew he might have to go live with his real mommy,
She
and
was
Mare
so
was
good.
not.
Oh shit, yeah.
Mare was not having that shit at all. The way these two women fight is fucking hilarious because it's so real. It's so real. It's my mom and her
Like,
mom when my grandmother was still living with my mom. It would
mm-hmm.
probably be me and my
Everything.
mom if I wasn't afraid of getting punched in the mouth. Because if I
And
was
she
like,
tells
fuck
it. She tells
No.
you,
it.
my
And
mom
then
would
her
have
friend
punched
comes
me.
over. Her friend comes over and she's like, she goes, I can't wait till she goes to church and I'm gonna take all her shit and burn it.
Yes.
No, like everything about them is so real. I mean, I live with my mother. I'm an adult who lives with my mother.
Mhm.
And there was just this little thing. I don't even know if other people noticed it, but I don't know. It was later on in the episode. Mare comes out of the daughter's room. She's like, Siobhan's room is a pigsty and smells
yeah.
like pot. And she throws the trash in the can right before the mom
She
has
was,
put the bag in.
yes, she had just taken the trash out.
That
And
is
she,
my mother and me.
yes. And she didn't even like, I'm so glad you mentioned that because when she like did it, she just like threw the trash through there and her mom just looks down at it and you just see her shoulders slump like, and you could like, she was like totally picking her battle. She didn't like, I was so surprised she didn't say anything. She was just like, all right. And then just went about doing it. But yeah, she told him, I guess that, and then Mare confronts her about it and tell her it wasn't her place, but she thinks he's for, and we need to get him prepared because if it comes out of nowhere, it could be worse. And I mean, I don't know, I don't have an opinion honestly about whether or not it was a good thing to say something to him because I absolutely think that really depends on the child and the situation and like how much of an upheaval it's going to be. I don't have enough information here, so I don't know if that was wrong of her to do, but I do think she's right in telling Mare, and as we see later, that's his mother.
Right.
And I get that you're worried because that's where they got me. That's where they got me with her when I think when she was talking to Carrie later in the episode, and where I felt like I got to the point where I was just like, yeah, Mare, just do whatever you got to do. Like I wasn't even thinking that far, like plant drugs, but I was just like, yeah, fight her because she said
Right.
something, and it was like just the thought of like I had to think about it. I was like, if I had Jack for 4 years, like raising him, and then somebody was like, well, now he has to go live with somebody else, and then you have on top of that this person has a drug addiction, and that there's clearly reason for you to kind of be concerned. That's tough. That's really tough to think about you know what I mean? Because it doesn't even really matter what she thinks about Carrie. It's just, I think, really tough to ask any parent to say after 4 years, oh, they have to go sleep in someone else's house every night. Like, it's not like
Yeah.
she gets visitations and no, this is like it's over. She has to, he has to go live with her. And my heart broke for her. And I was like, yeah, no, just fight it. You might lose. You'll probably
That
lose,
scene-
but yeah.
That scene was intense because like Carrie was smoking a cigarette and Mare was vaping, and they were
Yeah.
both like having this like
Yes.
inhale contest thing going on, trading insult.
Mhm.
And then I think maybe the thing you're thinking of was when Carrie was like, Kevin hated you. Like she tells him.
Oh,
she
no, no,
tells
no.
Mare that
That
the son hated her. And I was
No,
like,
that
oh, Jesus.
I totally forgot that happened. It was before that. It was distinctly
Oh, okay.
just about like him like not living there anymore, and that room being empty. Like that whole thought. Like I pictured walking into Jack's room and just like, oh, he doesn't live here anymore. Like I would fucking jump out a window. But yes, but that part. He hated you. You know what? She had that coming though, because that's when she basically said, "I will tell the judge." Like she basically told her, "I'm going to tell the judge anything." Like that she would lie.
Right.
So Why? But why was she such a bad mother? That's what I don't get. Like, I'm not yet getting. Did she struggle with
Right.
his
Like, what don't we?
diagnosis? Like, I don't get it.
Say again? Who struggle?
I'm wondering, did she struggle with the fact that he was different? Like, I don't get why she would have been, because to say that he hated her, it feels like obviously this is something that this is about their relationship and her behavior before he died. So like
Right.
after he died, I can understand where people are like, "Oh, don't tell her anything." Or
Right.
even I can understand, I don't agree with it, but I can understand her being a bitch about the missing girl Katie's investigation with her, like anything that happened like after her son died, whether I agree with it or not, I can kind of understand. But this sounds like even before he died that he just didn't like her, and I'm curious like why. And then she even said she was a bad mother.
Yeah, and it's hard though because at the end of the second episode when Erin's best friend was like, I think Frank might be the father.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like being shocked at that, but then thinking about it a little, I was like, does that mean he is really the father, or she just said that?
Right.
And then what unfolded this week is kind of like, oh, I don't think he is the father. So was that something you say to really hurt somebody, or was it actually true? Did he really? You know what I mean?
Well,
it's hard to know.
The reason the girl thought he was the father is because he was giving her diapers and all the baby stuff that she needed. And then his excuse to her was, "Oh, I just after he our son killed himself, I just felt the need to do something for somebody else because this girl confided in me." But I was like, that's still far fetched. It would make a lot more sense. He's looking after this girl because this is Kevin's.
And exactly. And the thing with that is like, and we're going to move on to that in a second anyway. The thing with that though, it's like, you just got to, he's a teacher for God's sakes. You have got to be way more savvy than that. It's probably, me personally, I don't think it's inappropriate for him to buy her things that she needs for her baby. She's a fucking child. Her father was the piece of shit, as we see. Take care of the babies. But what makes it inappropriate is that it was done in secret. And that's just stupid. You know what I mean? Like, that's just dumb. There's, and so there better be a good fucking reason for you keeping it a secret, because beyond that, you just got to know as a teacher, as a father, it does not look good to be a grown-ass man sneaking around doing anything with a teenage girl, even if it is just buying diapers, So the fact that he's so, like, kind of stupid about it is a little annoying. But let's move on to that, because Mare is told about Frank by Lori. Lori really, listen, she played this good, because I don't know. Sometimes I'm a messy bitch, and I love drama sometimes. And I'd have been like, Ma, y'all need to look. Everybody stop fucking. Wait till you hear this. Like, I would have forgot that I was coming over to drop a bombshell. I'd have just been about, I just want to spill the tea. I'd be like, can y'all fucking settle down? Wait till I tell you what this girl just came to my house and said. But she held that shit in, and then the way she told her, she was like, because she thinks the father is Frank. And Mare was like, what? That was the longest pause while that shit just marinated in her brain. She was like, my Frank? And then she took her ass right across the yard.
Yeah, Frank over there playing Monopoly and shit.
With his fiance's son home from college and his girlfriend. And
Siobhan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Mare, now look, I give Mare credit because she was like, let's talk outside. And they were just being weird. Like, I don't know. I just think if first of all, Donnie, yeah, I guess if we divorce, if it has to happen, that's, might as well live close together. But like, if I come knocking on the door and I don't want to see your new girlfriend's face any fucking way, it must be important, right? And if I tell you it's important, we should step outside, and you're like, well, can it wait? No, nigga, I just said we got, like, why would you ask me that? If it could wait, trust trust me, I wouldn't be here because no, this is awkward. But also, I do think she kind of wanted to do it in front of everybody because Mare's a bitch. Like in retrospect, but when it was happening, I was absolutely on her side because I was like, no, this is something we got to talk about now. And then you want to show your ass though and make me look like I'm being unreasonable? Oh no. Yes, we need to talk because you lied and said you didn't know the dead girl. You know, the girl that was murdered last night? Well, yeah, apparently you buy her diapers.
And then he's like, okay, let's go outside.
Yeah, let's go to your house and talk about this. But yeah, she confronts him and it's so loud. Like, why are we stepping outside if outside is right there? Like, why wouldn't you go take this shit? Ugh.
And this is where it made me. Siobhan was kind of sticking up for Frank, her father, and kind of angry with Mare. That made me think that okay, she knows. What's
Yeah,
going on.
because listen. There needs to be a conversation, right?
Right.
If you find out your father has been, have been helping this dead girl take care of her baby, and in secret, and then the girl is killed and lied about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it would be one thing if she was like, yeah, Aaron died. And he's like, oh, let me tell you something. Because this might look bad. But he specifically then lied to Mare. Like, I absolutely understood Mare here. And it made no sense to me that Siobhan would not at least be like, Dad, what the fuck? And it feels like that conversation that's a conversation we, the audience, should see, right? If it hasn't happened already. Otherwise, she knows, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She killed that girl, didn't she?
Siobhan?
Is that your theory that it's Siobhan?
I think
That was one of my earliest theories, yeah.
And
Yeah, I was thinking that too. To keep her quiet, but the thing is Aaron never showed, or at least so far we haven't seen that Aaron hasn't shown that she was gonna come out and say who the real father was or anything like that.
but it makes me wonder if it's. I think this is what my thinking is. If you, and we'll talk about like where it was later when it gets to that, but like if you went after her because she was upset, or because she went off on her bike and like maybe you were like on your way home or whatever and you saw her and was like, hey, let's talk or whatever, come on, I'll give you a ride. And if she, in her being upset about what happened with what's his name, Dylan, I could see her being like, you know what, fuck him, he's not even the father. Maybe I should tell everybody. And I could see what's her name, but why she would have a gun is like that. I don't know. Like that's because it does feel like I don't feel like so far that it was premeditated, right? Like it feels like this was just opportunity and something happened, and for her to like get in the car with somebody, it feels like it's not somebody she would have been afraid of. It feels like there was an argument in that park near the amphitheater, and what happened, but I just don't know why she would have had a gun. Yeah,
my other theory is that like I feel like because they're saying that she blocked the bullet or whatever, that's what shot her finger off. Mm-hmm. That it could have been somebody with a flashlight.
Because you put because you put your hand up to shield the light.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like what a cop does. And I'm like, okay, is there any cops that we've seen or anything like that? But I can't.
Sketchy ass Evan Peters. Mean mugging the
Evan Peters, yeah.
Mean mugging the newspaper. What was that about? I ain't forget that.
Stank face looking at that article.
And then like the fiance is like it's embarrassed. Like this, my secondhand embarrassment was like, if I was the girlfriend, I would have legit just gone upstairs. No, I'd have listened. No, I'd have gone upstairs. I would have gone in a different room and still listened. That's what I would have done.
Right. I would have gone upstairs and still listened though.
And so I sat in the window upstairs, but I wouldn't want everybody to see me drinking all this tea. Oh my God. Her Facebook post after this must have been hilarious. Goes in her private group. Let me tell you about these crazy ass white folks. No, that's what mine would have been. But But yeah, he says he helps her. Doesn't say he didn't have sex. I mean, but specifically says he didn't have sex with her, and will and agrees to
Do
take a
the
DNA
DNA
test.
test. Yeah. But that's the thing is like I think that DNA test is if it's Kevin's, it's going to come back with some
Right.
markers that are
And that's why he made
Right.
it a point twice in this episode, right? To be like, I just want to be clear. I didn't have sex with her because that DNA, it's going to match. It's going to show a relationship
Right.
match. But I mean, I feel like, I don't know. I don't know enough about it in real life. And of course, TV can do whatever. But it feels like they're either going to do the thing where it's like there's a 99% chance that he's a blood relative. They're going to keep it vague. Or there's a 99% chance that he's the father because they definitely share DNA, that type
Right.
of thing. But it feels like in this day and age, you should be able to specifically tell if someone is the father, right? DNA tests, right? Yeah. Like,
Well,
there's,
yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to specifically say you're related. I know they could do that, right? But they should. To me, there's no reason why this test, if he's not the father, it should not specifically say he's not the father. But it's TV, so. But then again, maybe it's not Kevin, and we're all wrong. um,
Hmm.
Dylan's parents are told about the paternity, the possibility that Dylan's not the father. Why does his parents look so normal?
because
I was
they're like
I was
middle
just gonna
class white people. Like
I was just gonna say that like I was expecting more like Erin's dad
Yes, like
because
horrible
Dylan's
people,
such a shit, you know.
right?
But
And
that's where I say it. I think Dylan, he's got a wealthy family, and he's just one of those asshole wealthy kids that thinks he can just do
But I don't
anything he
even think.
wants.
I don't know. I don't think wealthy. No,
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
think,
like middle class.
I get you. Like, definitely doing better. It seems than
Right, than most of the
Aaron's
people in
father
this
was
town.
doing. Right.
Delco wealthy. I don't know.
Don't we go
Like
get
they own a business out here.
yeah, something. They're not eating macaroni and cheese for dinner.
Right,
That's
right.
for sure.
And I don't know anything about Delaware County, so if I just said something really bad, I'm sorry.
Listen, look. There's two things I want to say. One, I would absolutely eat an entire pot of Kraft macaroni and cheese for dinner. No shade to that. So look, I am poor too, and there's no shame in that. My point was that I don't think that that family is obviously more well off than Kenny, so they're probably not having to eat by, you know what I mean? If they're doing it, it's by choice. Erin and her dad were not eating macaroni and cheese for dinner by choice.
Right.
The second thing is all the fucking jokes we make about this area that this show is supposed to take place in comes from people from the area. So leave us alone, okay? I didn't know shit about Delco until this show came on, and people in the comments were like, that's Delco County for you. I used to live there, or I live in the town over, or blah, blah, blah. We don't know. So if you live in Delco and it's absolutely the a beacon of prosperity and kindness and serenity and safety, enlighten us. But I'm hearing the exact opposite. And this show is, showing that there's stuff going on. But yeah, his parents are really nice. They're not like because he's such a dick. And we learn even better that the mother used to let Erin visit outside of her,
Right.
you know.
And they really liked Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she was fucking delightful. Of course they liked her.
They even
I'm
say she
fucking
looked like
angry
it.
they killed her.
They like it. We don't like this new girl.
Listen, I'm not. Look, I got to go look up and see what else the actress has been in. But when he stood up because the mac and cheese, and I thought he better not hit this child over burning his fucking nasty ass tongue. And then when he was like, for your son, for his son. And I was like, but it's her son too. Like, how do you not like, oh, like my heart broke for her. And then when when Dylan was putting him in the car and she goes outside because he forgot something in the bag, and she's standing there asking about the money, and he's like, don't fucking bring my parents into this, and I just gotta go. And he's so nasty, and she just has to stand there in that. That's when I was like, if anything happens to her, I'm gonna punch Ryan Reisman in his fucking face because why you got me watching this show? And like, like I just wanted to protect her and that baby. And here we are. But anyway. But yeah, his parents didn't seem terrible. He's still terrible. Frank is questioned and again denies the sex part. The fiance is there. Why is she there?
See, that was what I said something last week. I was like, I just, on these shows like this, I suspect everybody. Like, and what about Frank's fiance?
See, I wasn't suspecting her, but I was just like, sis, this a lot. Like, is it like, are you there for like, because she's clearly not happy, right? Because when they go to leave, she won't even touch him or whatever. So is it for Mare's benefit? Like, it didn't work. Like, I'm still supporting him. Is it for just appearances in general? Like, he's not. And I guess maybe that's what you have to do, right? Like, if you don't think that your fiance murdered this girl, you believe this, right? Like, you believe his story. Then you, even if you're pissed about the lie, you kind of have to stay with him for a while, right? Because otherwise people are going to think he's a murderer. Like, that's the position you put her in.
Right, and even if you don't think he murdered Erin, the stuff comes up about his relationship with her that he lied about.
Right. So she could, and I believe that. Like, I don't think she thinks that he killed her because I don't think she would be there. You know what I mean? So, but she's mad about something. But it's like, that's the fucked up thing about, the secrecy and what he did is now you put her in this position where she can't even rightfully not look in your fucking face if she don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, she has the right to be like, you know what? I don't want to talk to you for a week or whatever she needs. But she can't even do that. She has to accompany your dumb ass to get a DNA test and be questioned because otherwise people are going to think you killed this girl. And I know you didn't. But I also know you're a liar. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I don't like this woman at all, but I did feel bad for her in this moment. And
Mare
fucking
was funny
Mare.
in this because Mare was just watching the glass. It just kept peeking.
And so, like, obvious about it. But wait, how about when she, wait. This is shit with Mare, man. It's fuck Mare for right now. I don't know. Maybe she'll redeem herself tonight, but I doubt it. But when he's like, yeah, I'll take the DNA, and he's like, just tell the guys to bring the kit, and she's like, it don't work. Like, he's like, well, I don't know how it works. I ain't in the habit of giving my DNA in murder investigations, whatever. So he has to go there. When she shows up and the boss is like talking to her about something, and he's like, oh, and Frank and Faye are here. She's like, oh. I'm like, bitch, you told him to come there. You told him to do the DNA test. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is inconvenience to you?
I like when she walks by Faye, she's like, hi.
Yes, what a bitch.
Just looks at her like, fuck you.
Oh my God, Mare is such a bitch. So they got an anonymous call about the Deacon, right? Or is that why they went to go question him?
I think so.
It was like an anonymous call that said, you need to look into why he was transferred from his last place, his last church.
No.
No?
Well, first they looked into Deacon because that was the last phone call that she made, that Erin made.
Right.
Her phone records. They found out that, the right before she did, like just around 11 o'clock, that she had just talked to the Deacon, and this was after the fight.
Okay.
So that's what brought them onto the Deacon. Then shit came in. Yeah, then they got a tip after they talked to.
Did that tip come through, or is that something I saw in the trailer?
No. That tip came through.
Did it happen? Okay, because I just had a panic. I was like, maybe that happened in the trailer because
no,
I
it was
really...
at the episode, and he's like, should we go get him again and question him again? She goes,
oh,
no,
that's
yet.
right. Okay, yeah, that did come in after. So thank you. So what led them? Look at you, not watch the episode, but know more shit than me. Because I was looking at lesbians on Twitter. Because I was being nosy.
I mean, if
you were just researching Siobhan.
Yes, right. I was getting my notes ready. But yeah, so you're right. So it's because of the phone call. So they go to the church. Okay, so I have another theory. This was kind of wild. Y'all ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, but wait. But okay, all right, wait. Like, let me just say what happened first. So, at first, this is where Evan Peters meets the cousin, right? He's like, "Damn, is there anybody you're not related to?" She's like, "No."
They did this shit on that Saturday Live skit too. That's
Oh,
funny.
I gotta watch that. So he was like, he's in the church. I'll walk you over. And she's like, no, because she knows shit's about to get spicy, right? Like she can't question him the way she needs to question him about why he was on a dead girl's phone, um, and with her cousin standing there. So when it's all over, and then they're like, "Can we keep your phone?" Well, we'll
That
get
was
there too.
weird.
No, but we'll
Like,
get there.
yeah.
He gives her the phone, and then he comes back inside. He's like, "Is everything okay?" And he's like, and he walks away. And the cousin definitely looks like he doesn't believe that everything's okay.
Right.
Are they a couple? Because that felt like when he
You
came
mean the
back in.
deacon and the cousin?
Yeah, because when he came back
Ooh.
in and was like, "Is everything okay?" That felt like how I would talk to Donnie if some woman just came and rang the bell and Donnie was like, "I have to talk to her outside for a minute." And then you come back. It felt like that type of concern. Like, is there anything I should know?
Oh.
It didn't feel professional to me. It felt a little personal, but that doesn't explain the bike at the end, which I completely forgot about until I was taking my notes a little while ago. And I got to this scene and I said again, I was like, oh, that's right. This feels weird to me. And then I remembered the bike at the end and I was like, that doesn't explain him ditching the bike.
Right.
Do you
The one
think?
thing.
Do you?
No, go ahead, Dan. Ellen.
Oh, do you think that the deacon? This just popped in my head,
Mhm.
so it's probably wrong. Do you think that deacon like might have molested Kevin, and that was part of why he committed suicide?
Oh, God, I hope not. That's just too much. That's too much for like Kevin. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need all this
Yeah.
stuff to happen to this character. It's enough,
Right.
Like same
Enough's
thing like
happened
with
to him.
Aaron. Like, I'm so glad Aaron wasn't raped. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, enough. Like, God,
Mhm.
I hope not. I mean, but who knows?
But the funniest
Go ahead,
part of
Don. I'm
this
sorry.
was Evan Peters' face when they were doing the interrogation with him, and
Hmm.
the deacon starts saying that they had a relationship, and the camera goes to Evan Peters' face, and he's like, "Wait, what?"
He always looked like this his first day on the job and he's never heard shit like this before. You know what I mean? Like you would think a seasoned detective like this who just solved this big case, like I'm sure you've heard some shit. And he's sitting there just like when she was like, no wonder your son killed himself. And he looked at her like, who raised you? Why are you like this? Like he has no
Mhm.
poker face. Oh my God. But yeah, what the fuck is up with that? Calling her and
Yeah,
what's the last thing you
Mhm.
said? I told her you are loved or some shit. God, you are loved. God bless.
yeah. And then even in this conversation, he talks about how he's fighting demons and because he's
She
the
was Mary,
human. Like it was all this just like creepy
Mary,
stuff. I'm like,
Mary
he's
was
again.
like, "What demons are those?" And he was like, "Oh, just the
He's
demons
like
everybody else
loneliness and
has." Yeah,
companionship, and I was like, you're just
you're
digging a hole here.
right.
Especially when you get
Um,
Mhm.
into at the end of the episode when they're like, oh, they get the tip, and then you're like, okay, this guy's got a serious backstory.
Now let me ask you this: when she's like, "Can we look through your phone?" and he pauses, which like anybody would. And if I'm not guilty, I'm not letting you take my phone.
Right.
Like I
Right.
don't care
And she
how it
said,
makes me
oh,
look
we could just go get a
because
warrant,
first
and
of
I
all,
was
I
like,
don't
okay,
trust.
get a warrant, but
Well, but that's what they do though. Do
right.
you know what I'm saying? That's just like what they do that, and then they do the thing like she did to the girl last week, where it's like, well, you could get a lawyer, but I'm just going to tell you, once the lawyer comes in here, I'm not going to be able to help you. Like that bullshit. You know what I mean? They always say that. And they always say, well, we could get a warrant, but then they'll think, you know. So
Mhm.
I expected her to say that. But like, why, what the fuck would you, I mean, I guess you're supposed to think you don't want to look guilty. So, but I was like, nah, dude, she'd had to come back with that warrant. Because they would have, and then she would have had to have and that's the thing. You can't just get warrants. Like, you have to have a
no,
reason.
you gotta go through. Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah,
You gotta go through
the judge has to be like a probable cause for you to go search whatever it is you want to search. And I don't know that she has enough. But I just thought it was funny that he did that and that he gave her the code. Do you think that's going to be important later?
That was just random numbers, but yeah, it could.
Or she's gonna be talking to her cousin and like she's gonna need to get into his phone. He's gonna be like, my code is 4852. It's gonna be the same code because they're lovers.
The thing that confuses me is she just took the fucking phone. She didn't look at it.
That's what she meant.
She just took it, and I'm like, who the fuck does that? Like, and he just let it happen.
Because he already said yeah, but that's what
she wanted to look through. Like, I didn't expect her to actually take the shit home.
Oh, I did.
You could just walk over right there.
And that's exactly what she did. That phone is not in evidence. It's not at forensics. Right. Like, she is sitting there eating a cheesesteak from Wawa. Right. In her kitchen with her mom playing on her iPad next to her, going through this man's phone. Oh, Jean Smart put her in everything. Absolutely. I'm sorry, my iPad closed. Hold on. Oh, Mama speaking of Jean Smart, she meets the booty call.
They were.
I like how he was like they were fighting, a scene or two before the last time we saw her, and then here she's like, you know what you should do? You should go parade his fine ass in front of Frank
and grab his ass.
I was like, I like Mama.
Oh, and then she's like, when they. There he goes. She's like, oh yeah, she's told me all about you. She goes, Mom, I just told you about it 30 seconds ago.
And then the way she like draped herself over the banisters, like, that is just smart.
Right. She's like,
out to play.
I heard all about
Tell me,
you.
Helen.
That was Jean Smart coming out to play. But I love it because, like, they've already established, like, the family likes Frank. Hell, they even like Faye, the woman he's going to marry. But still, she was like, yeah, go be a bitch. Go do that. Siobhan accepts a date because this was really cute. Because her girlfriend is a mess, as you said. When she had asked about where Siobhan was.
Over herself.
Huh? Oh, yeah. When she had asked about where Siobhan was earlier, the Nana said that she had a show at like this college, but before they could go on, her girlfriend vomited on herself because she's a mess. And the DJ was so into Siobhan from like the get, and then asked her out, but Siobhan said no because she has a girlfriend. Also, she just committed murder like 2 nights ago.
I can't get involved right now.
I've got to cover up the plan. And I got the student film I'm working on. This documentary about my dead brother. I got a lot on my plate right now. I got 2 nephews I got to help raise now. But yeah, this is super cute because later she goes and she accepts the date, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cute.
The blanket at the house.
They really make being a lesbian look super, super easy.
They make, super easy in this little town. And I'm thinking like, I don't know about this.
Right. I was thinking that last week. I was like, wow, everybody is super liberal and open in this kind of Trump voting community. But like, that's the one thing I hear. I hear this all the time, like women saying it's hard to meet women because I'm flirting and they think that I'm like, I'd be like, oh my God, you look beautiful in that, or what is it like? Oh, that looks cute on you. And she's like, thanks girl, I bought it here. And you're like, no, that's not what I meant. I don't care where you bought it, And one woman, I think the tweet the other day, she was like, she said something like, oh, wow, you look really beautiful. Sit on my face. And they should be like, oh, thanks, girl. I bought these shoes last week. So it's so funny.
I wear that same makeup. It is smudge proof.
Exactly. But yeah, so it's just funny to me that like lately I've been hearing that it's actually the opposite of this. And that usually, like, they do pick up on it. It's like, oh no, I'm not gay. But here, it's like she was so like open and like, hey, this is I'm asking you out. And fucking Siobhan is like, I can't. But she did come back, so that was nice. Um. Oh, what is up with Booty Call? Why?
He was asking a lot of questions and offering a lot of unsolicited
And he didn't
advice or whatever.
answer. And he didn't answer her question about, was it about the sun or?
Yeah, something about. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right, and I don't remember because when we watched this live, I said
Yeah.
that, right? I
Yeah.
said he never answered the question. Now I don't
Yeah.
remember which
Oh,
one
what
it
was
was.
It was either about the son or the wife or something.
Well,
like
no.
that.
Well, okay. Here's what I know he did say from taking notes just now. He admits to being a cheater, right? Because he published a book.
Right.
It was, I guess he kind of got famous from it a bit. Women wanted to hear what he had to say, so he said he found himself waking up next to a lot of women he never wanted to know. And then she's like, well, wait a minute. So I thought she was going to be like, oh, you're a slimy motherfucker. But she was like, what about your son? How is that now? It's like, Mare didn't care that you was giving out dick. Mare's like, what kind of dad are you? And he says, things are good now. We have a good relationship. And then that's when he gives, like Ellen just said, that unsolicited advice. But that's it. Like, there was something else she specifically asked him, and he didn't answer. And I remember thinking,
ooh, see, I don't remember that.
and it may not be like important. Like, it may not be like, I just thought that was interesting about his personality. You know what I mean? Like, he never really answered the question.
And he also was saying, like, you should talk to Carrie and let her know you want to stay in Drew's life. And then she goes and talks to Carrie. She's like, I'm keeping him.
I was like, that's not what he told you to do. That's not what he meant. And I forgot that part. So, like, when I was watching just now, I knew what she was going to do. I'd forgotten that he'd given her that advice. I was like, oh, you just did not listen, really. And she must have said the names, right? Because he knew Carrie's name.
Right.
She must have said it earlier in the conversation, right? Or is that something we're supposed to pick up on?
Ooh, I don't know.
Because he absolutely did say Carrie. So then she does the worst thing possible. She goes and she gets those drugs. And we find out later she frames her. And I was so, like, I was pissed at her for putting her boss in that position too.
Yeah.
Because he could, his whole fucking career, if he even, like, for what? For what? I just, Mare.
Well,
go ahead.
So
this is kind of, I'm sorry, this is kind of out of order. I still have like 4 or 5 more bullet points, but I was running out of time, so go ahead.
It might circle back to one of your bullet points. So they're at like a fair or some type of picnic thing, and the old woman neighbor is talking about the ferret face peeper.
Right.
And then you start to like, that's like her neighbor, and he left town and came back, and they really like focused on him.
Yeah.
Now, and then I don't know if this was one of your bullet points, so you just stop me if you.
No, go ahead. We can still go ahead.
Well, then the old lady calls her again, which is like the opening scene of the very first episode.
Right.
That lady, right? The old lady. Now, I missed it the first time I watched it. Mare deletes the
video.
Yes.
Security camera.
Yes.
Like, at first, I must have looked away or was doing something. I thought, like, the husband just bumbled it again.
Right.
But then going back, I'm like, now, was it the ferret face on the... Was it the same kid?
Yes.
It's the kid.
So
it's the
how
neighbor.
I took it was so
she
I
saw
took it
him.
she was just going to go talk to him and just handle it
and
herself.
do you think that's how she got him to plant the drugs, saying, like, we have this surveillance on you? Do you think she got him to do it?
Oh, you know what? I thought she did it herself.
Yeah, I thought she did it herself.
I didn't even consider that. But yeah, when he goes to set it up, she's looking at it and they show the neighbor, like, what did he had spray painted some stuff or whatever.
Squeeze Betty's titties.
Yes. And he
Poor old
like,
lady.
and he turns around and he like gives her house the finger or something. So it's very clearly him. Yeah, and she
Yeah.
deletes it. Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
if you don't think it, all right. So if you don't think it had anything to do with like bribing him to like plant the hair, like why do you think she deleted it?
I think what Donnie just said. Repeat what you just said, Donnie, because I agree with what you just said.
Oh, that she was just gonna take care of it herself and just go talk to him rather
Right.
than press charges.
Oh.
Because I felt like she wanted the kid to get arrested and press charges and stuff, and I just felt like Mary was just gonna go and have a conversation with him.
Kind of like how
Okay.
she took care of the guy in the beginning, who's the
Oh,
brother
the
who broke
brother.
into the yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
But
all right.
now, wait a second. I do think that this whole thing is important, right? Like, because we do have from the first episode her seeing somebody standing in a hoodie in the alley.
All right.
So I feel like this is something. How big it is, I don't know. But otherwise, this is just more world building and character building for Mare. Because, like I said, the way she deals with this situation is kind of like how she dealt with the other situation, right? Like, I won't take you to jail. I'll take you to a shelter if you want. Or you can go to jail. You know what I mean? Like, that type of thing. So that could be all it is. But I feel like, I mean, you don't set up the fact that these people have this security camera and that there's this peeping Tom thing. And like you said, it's how the series started. So it feels like it has to mean something eventually.
And like
So-
that lady
go ahead.
had a big scene at the whatever that carnival or fair.
Yeah, when she was talking about him and she was like, is he looking over? Is he staring at him? She was, yes.
And also the guy, her friend's husband was really cold to her.
Well, yeah,
That
because
thing,
he's
too.
But see, here's the thing though, like I just feel like again it's like I get it. Like if you know for a fact that the person you love, your friend, your spouse, whatever, did not murder somebody, you are probably going to have little patience, right? For people, especially his ex, who you would think, well, come on, you guys are divorced, but you don't think that he would come on. So I get that, but also at the same time, you can't, she has to do her fucking job. 2, a girl is dead. And so this should be taken seriously. She shouldn't have to be like treating him with kid gloves and giving him, do you know, like, what do you want her to do? Right? She's, you know, he should be questioned. He should be DNA
like,
tested. Go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
kept thinking me too. I think we had a little crossover too. I'm sorry, a little static there. See, I kept thinking the DNA test was about the paternity, not the murder, and people kept acting like it was about the murder, and like I don't know if she could reveal it was a paternity test. So I was thinking like this guy's pissed off at her, the friend, but
because he doesn't know.
Right.
But I mean, either way,
He was
though,
pretty.
right?
I mean, pretty open. I thought about. The
Yeah,
paternity.
I'm not. I don't. I'd have to rewatch it to see what it is people think happened. And I mean, and it turns out too, he was not just cold to her, but I should mention that he was the alibi. So he knows for a fact.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I get that. So I get it. Like, you know, but at the same time, again, it's not like she's just being the ex-wife, you know, she's a doctor. She's working a case. She has to, not for how you feel, you know, the friend, not you guys, but or not how Frank feel. Like, fuck how all of y'all feel, but this dead girl. You know what I mean? Like, she can't fuck this up the way she ends up fucking up later, planting or whatever, because, you know, then a killer is going to get away. So, like, come on. So the fact to act like this is like, okay, yeah, like maybe I don't think that he killed her, but I know some shit. Like, what the fuck is he buying the diapers for? Like, give her some credit, you know?
And like,
go ahead.
With Dylan and the paternity, like she told his parents, like this could help his case. And like, you know, with Frank, that could help, you know, if he's ruled out.
Right,
So,
exactly.
Yeah. She's just doing her job in that case, yeah.
So they end up going to the area where her phone was last pinged, and they had canines out there, and the canines, they got a hit at 2 spots, right? Or did somebody find the finger?
They found the finger first. Somebody in
Okay,
the
so
park.
that's okay. So they brought the dogs out there,
Right.
and it turns out that this is in the vicinity of where the phone last was. They still don't have the phone, but it makes because this is when they're walking up, and she says, he goes, "Why aren't we looking for the bike?" And she says, "Because she wasn't on the bike when she came out here. It was 13 something mile, whatever." So at this point, whoever drove her out here and killed her probably has that bike, right?
Right, and they knew she was shot, so that's why they brought the special, the K9 unit they brought out were they ballistic.
Well, no.
K9.
First, it was just regular canine.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
they
yeah.
find the finger, and then so there's two areas where the finger was found, which brought them out there to begin with, and then another area by this building kind of area, right? Like I look at the bathroom or some shit, and then that's when she says, "Well, we could get the firearm canine out here." He's like, "Oh, you guys got that? Y'all fancy." She's like, "No, but you do." And then I thought this was interesting because then he gets on the phone and he's like, "Oh, you got to get and he's like, "I don't give a shit if it's your day off. You got to get me these things." And it's like he's really trying to impress her.
Right.
So it's
that's
just
how it came
weird.
out.
Like I just don't understand the purpose of his character yet.
And even
Yeah,
at the bar, like, and it's even when at the bar when he's drunk, it seems like he was hitting on her too.
I didn't like that
Mm-hmm.
because I really thought for a second they were going to have her fuck this kid, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that about? I don't get the purpose of him yet. You know what it feels like? I would care about this if this were a show that I knew was going to continue to be several seasons. Because then you're like, oh, this is how this partnership begins. Then this stuff matters. But like in a limited series at this point, I'm just like, what is the point of you? Especially because you're not even really good at your job yet. Like she's doing everything.
Well, now he's going to have to step up and do everything because she's lost her. She's lost her job. Basically lost her job.
So we're fucked, is what you're saying.
Well, I'm sure she's still going to be working with him, but he's going to be doing everything. Like I'm sure she's still going to give him tips and all that stuff. But
and Mare ends up finding the dog, the bullet casing, right?
Yep.
After those dogs are out there.
Weird.
The weird kid neighbor did vandalize her yard. The friend is the alibi, blah blah. Think it. Oh, so they go to talk to the deacon, and he hides. And now, so this is them following up on the tip, right? Okay.
Oh, that's right, because he wouldn't answer the door.
He wouldn't answer the door, and then later he tosses the bike. So at this point, it's looking like he could just say that he gave her a ride there,
right?
And she told like who she was meeting would give her a ride home, but she never said who she was meeting. So that's why he has the bike. I feel like that's the most reasonable explanation, other than he's the killer, right? Okay. All right, I'm gonna pull up the feedback really quickly. But did I miss anything?
Just a little, like Siobhan's video. She said something about like wondering who Kevin was with.
Mm-hmm. Because she actually had it because he had sent her a video the day he died, like. Just like I guess right before he took his life.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just his feet in the sand at the beach.
And so, what did you say, Ellen? That she asked what?
She says like she wonders if he was with someone and who he was with, or there's some line of dialogue where she's doing the voiceover, and she said like he said something, but it got cut off at the end.
Right.
So she didn't hear his last words, and then she said, I wondered who he was with, or if he was with someone. And I'm like, Aaron, but I don't like. So video might come around again.
I was gonna say I really hope we get to see what that video was. It would be cool if like whoever he was with was also taking video. And we can see it from there, if that makes sense. That'd be a way to actually see it.
I don't think Mary knows that video exists.
Probably not.
Ooh,
but it also feels like they're accusing her of like not really talking about him or being interested in stuff like that. You know, when he says, "I'm not afraid of a DNA test and I'm not afraid of talking about our son." And I was like, okay. So sounds like there's some avoidance
Mm-hmm.
there. Hold on, let me plug my iPad in. Okay, so we got 2 bits of feedback. Classic R&B lover says, "Hello, Nina, Donnie, and Ellen. I felt it in the previous episodes, but I am certain now. Frank is totally manipulating the daughter against Mare. I wonder if this has been a lifelong pattern." Really?
Ooh. Ooh, that's a good point.
Wow.
I didn't think of it that way. I mean,
I
you
really
clearly
didn't.
saw Siobhan against her mom and kind of taking the dad side, but
Yep.
I didn't think of it as him manipulating it. But ooh, that's a neat observation.
So she says, "I wonder if this has been a lifelong pattern or, excuse me, something he did to make himself feel better following Kevin's death and the disintegration of the marriage. However, Mare does nothing to help her cause. Her actions allows others to give her the villain edit." Exactly. That's what I feel like it's kind of cliche with stuff like this, and I don't like it. "That was, however, a crappy piece of policing. She gave the suspect a heads up and told him who the source of the story was. I guess Frank is out as the possible baby daddy. Why? Did I miss something?
Can
Could
you
Kev-
say that last part again?
She says, "I guess Frank is out as the possible baby daddy." And I was
I
like,
guess good
why?
maybe because he was just so forward with taking the DNA test.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And I mean, we do believe him. Um, could Kevin be the father? They didn't drop the he and Claire weren't together. Oh, he and Carrie, sorry. And he was with someone on the beach for no reason. If so, the paternity test will show a familial relation. Perhaps the other person is the missing girl, Kate. Now I'm wondering about his alleged suicide. Oh, Kate. I keep forgetting about her.
A missing girl. And there were some previews about that aspect, too, for tonight's episode.
Oh, okay. Dylan's alive, which I guess is a good thing. I missed that Erin's baby was living at least part-time with Dylan's family. There is no way any functional judge would give Mare's grandchild to his mother absent her being stable for at least a year. The stress of adding a child who might have special needs and she has never actually parented since he has essentially lived with Mare his entire life is exactly the kind of thing that would drive an addict to relapse. Until she planted drug on that baby's mother, my thought on Mare was, I love how this town of ain't shit people seem to think they have the right to treat Mare like garbage, regardless of how shitty she might be, while claiming they should not be thought poorly of for their past mistakes. I know what she did, and I see why Mare is unlikable, but I hope she finds some version of happy. I don't think that happy is something she has truly experienced in many a moon. However, that was a real piece of shit move. One she should be fired for. Now, any chance she had of retaining custody is gone, and it serves her right. And if Carrie isn't a good mother, then it's the baby that pays for all of this, you know? So Shady McGrady Priest, who threw Erin's bike off the bridge. I've been side-eyeing Guy Pearce's characters, including when we met him. His talk with Mare about waking up with women he wanted nothing to do with has me thinking about the missing girl from the first episode. I also do not trust Lori. She doesn't really seem to like Mare. Really? I didn't get that at all. So why go through the trouble of faking the funk? I also have her husband. She is married to John Ross, right? Yep. In the suspect's mix. He was a little too Johnny on the spot with that alibi photo of Frank, which gives him a backdoor alibi. Oh, that's true. Because if Frank was drunk and pissed in the closet, then, I mean, he could have done anything, but, oh my God. Also, how old are these men? Why are you pissing in your closet? I would kill you. Come on. Please keep that beautiful black girl away from anyone associated with that town. Oh, you mean Siobhan's girlfriend?
The TJ one, yeah.
I just looked at all I wrote, and I guess I must be really invested in this show. And finally, Shalita says, Hi guys, I hope this isn't too late. I can't keep nothing straight in my head anymore. I'm enjoying this show and love that it's actually filmed around here. Kate worked very hard on her southeastern PA Delco accent. Nobody ever comes close unless they're from the area. Wow, okay. So what the fuck, Mayor? Planting drugs on this chick? Seriously? I realize she's a shitty person, but that was the stupidest thing. It was police evidence for crying out loud. Like that shit ain't logged in. So what happens to her investigation now? Well, she's off of it, so. I do believe she and Evan Peters have worked up to a nice working relationship that he might keep her in the loop. He's gonna need to. He don't know what he's doing. Right? Um, she says so. The priest did it, right? Either he murdered Aaron, or I think she means the deacon, or he's kidnapped the missing girl and still holding her hostage in some underground bunker or something under the church. Either way, the priest is shady as fuck. Dylan is so not the baby daddy. It could be Frank, could be the dead son, could be the shady as fuck priest, could be Guy Pearce. Guy Pearce has been in town long enough, right? Yeah, I don't know. Either way, I'm really enjoying the show and love listening to um all of you discussing it. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. We went 30 minutes longer than I thought we would. I'm so sorry. Did we miss anything, Ellen?
Um, I just wanted to apologize. I feel like I kept talking over. I have this weird delay, so if I talked over you and Donnie,
You
Donnie, I
absolutely You
apologize.
absolutely did not. I felt like you were like I felt like we were like boring you at one point. I was like, "Oh my god."
No, God, no, no, no.
Okay. That's why I'm asking. Like, I want to make sure you touched on everything you wanted to touch on in the
I
episode.
I don't know if we talked about how Evan Peters does a really good drunk
Yeah.
acting job. That was like sometimes people act drunk like
Yep.
it's like they're
Yes.
just doing like the typical trope of, but I don't know that scene, and it just sort of revealed, like, does he have a crush on her? Does he
Mhm.
admire her?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
is he really that good of a detective? Did he just totally luck out with that case?
Right.
And now he's in over his head.
I felt like he lucked out on it.
Yeah. But
yeah, because
his
thank you for
acting
saying
was
that.
hilarious.
Thank you for saying that because when she asked him about that, like, how did you crack it? It was so generic.
Yes, I just kept going
It
and going and
felt
going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just
Right.
kept looking, and I looked again, and then one day something clicked, and I'm like, "What?"
And then, like, when they're out on the job together, she sees the ricochet of the bullet, and she sees the casing.
Right.
She's the one who's like, "Holy shit!" She's
Exactly.
Like, that's detective work.
That's what I mean. I'm like, why is he? And so that's my thing, where I'm like, again, if this were a show that I knew was going to continue, then I'd be like, okay, his evolution is going to be watching him actually live up to what people think. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. But when it's like a 6 episode series, I'm like, why are you here?
Right.
Are you the killer? Why are you here? But yeah, good point that she was doing all of the detecting, good detective work too, until she went and started planting drugs. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And I also love the Flock of Seagulls song that played in that bar scene. It just took me back to my childhood.
I don't remember it. I definitely have to go like watch the end of this episode before the new one.
Space Age love song when he was drunk in the bar. When they were drunk in the
okay.
bar.
And who was he in the bar with? Other cops?
He said it was a high school reunion.
Oh, that's right.
So
Which I thought was weird. Like, he was going to his own... I thought he was going to his own high school reunion. But here in... I didn't know that he was from this town. Like, it was weird. Like,
I don't think. Yeah, it couldn't have been his because he's not from this town. They would know him.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird.
All right, so I'm super excited about tonight's episode. I want to see what terrible thing Mayor's going to do tonight, but still end up being smarter than everybody else when it comes to the case. But also dumber than everybody else when it comes to what's going on in everybody's personal life. Like, she don't know shit. She's a great detective, but like, oh, the other thing, I thought it was
Watch that
interesting.
bullet casing come back and it be her gun.
Donnie.
Oh, Damn. It's like, okay, now we gotta go. What?
What the fuck? Um, but remember when they were the dinner scene when she was out on a date and she said how like how close she was to her dad and she's a cop because he was a cop, but she was like she would have done
Oh,
whatever he did. And I like that. I like that about her.
right.
So it just was interesting to me that,
Right. We do learn that she lost her dad when she was 13 and
mhm.
they were like best friends and she's never gotten along with the mother, so you learn a little bit more about her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Donnie in that the SNL thing, there's like
Hmm.
your pop was a cop and your pop's pop was a cop and your pops was a cop. It's like, oh yeah, they really played into that one.
And that's interesting too if you think about like how close Siobhan is with Frank. Like
Hmm.
Mare has to she has to know on some level what how Siobhan feels because it's probably very similar to how she felt about her mother. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like um I'm interested. I think she starts therapy in tonight's episode, so that should be
Oh
good.
yeah.
Because I want to know more about this stuff, and I also want to know more about Erin's family. I'm that little girl. Oh, that was so terrible. Anyway, so that is it, you guys. We're done. Next, what are we doing next, Donnie? Oh my God, the Nevers, and then, um, are we podcasting with John, or are all our shows with John done?
uh, what else are we doing? I thought
I
we
don't
had
know.
done something else.
I don't know. I gotta go look at the schedule. But I know for a fact
We might be done.
that we'll be back next weekend to talk about tonight's episode of Mare of Easttown. Hopefully, if Ellen is not busy, you'll come back and join us.
Well, I got nothing going on, so
Okay, good, 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 good. Look at me. I'm like, good. Great. Glad you have no life because we have none either.
I'm
Um,
vaccinated and I still won't go out.
right. I was just going to say, it's almost like everybody I know is like fully vaccinated, but we're all still acting like
Mm,
we're not. Yeah.
like, I don't want to go out. I guess that's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
don't
just let
really
other
feel like
people
it.
test the waters. But yeah, so we'll be back to discuss that and a bunch of other good stuff this week. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.